Melissa McShay. I'm an assistant professor here at John Jay in the Department of Public Management. Today, I'm interviewing Flora Ferng. Flora Ferng is the East Asian Communities Liaison at the New York City Commission on Human Rights. She serves as the lead member of the Commission's COVID-19 response team. At the beginning of the pandemic, she held workshops on health issues and xenophobia in predominantly Asian communities in Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan. Laura, could you please tell us a little bit about the agency you are working for?
So New York City Commission on Human Rights, it's a law enforcement agency. So it's a city agency that enforces the law. So a lot of times when we mention that, people confuse us to NYPD or DA. So NYPD and DA, they enforce the penal law, which is the criminal law. We enforce a civil law, which is New York City human rights law. And New York City human rights law is the most comprehensive human rights law in United States. There are total 27 protected classes. So we prohibit any type of discriminations in employments, in public accommodations, in housing, in discriminatory harassments, in bias-based profiling by law enforcement. And I know the reason I got award because of the like we fight for COVID-19 related anti-Asian hate. So that's discriminatory harassment under our jurisdictions.
During the COVID 19 pandemic, what issues or problems were you faced with on the job?
Um, well, first, this discrimination happened all the times, right? But definitely COVID make it worse against the Asian communities. I would say the challenge in it's like for the people we serve, and all of a sudden that we have to go all virtual, right? It was like very sudden. Before pandemic, that we can do outreach, we can do a lot of things in a more traditional way. We can see the people who want to file a complaint. We could outreach to people in person. A lot of the community members who are not tech savvy or like it's already like hard to reach, and I think all of a sudden we went virtual. I think that creates some challenges. I think luckily they are our partners. Before this job, I actually worked for non-for-profit for like 23 years. So because of that network of partnership with grassroots community organizations and faith institutions, we able to overcome that step by step. I will say that in April, May, it's challenging, and then gradually that through the food deliver and other way of in-person contact, people are more used to using their like device in order to engage some of the information. We understand the challenging of the virtual, so we continue to partner with them through like food pantry, other ways that we could engage with the community.
When you were talking about overcoming the issue of trying to get services rendered during the virtual environment, how were you able to overcome the obstacle of suddenly going into virtual mode?
Mhm. Yeah. So I think just even internally, right? Like we are not unlike maybe other like tech company or whatever might already have their hybrid of virtual working, right? So first we internally that we have to get ourselves ready, right, with different platforms and the way we engage people. I think internally we got a lot of support from our leadership that very quick, like everyone got like laptops and cell phones device supporting with that and trainings, right? So that help us to get ourselves ready. Getting us ready doesn't mean the people we serve are ready, right? So I constantly contacting our partners to see what's their obstacles, right? especially some who serve the senior population. I would say that's the most vulnerable and also most difficult to kind of get them on the virtual right away. So I constantly in contact with them to see what are their issues. Sometimes, for example, the some of the family they serve don't have the device for their children, right? So quickly, because we are a city agency and we partner with other city agencies, so we're able to bring that communication and make sure they can get their laptops and everything. And we are being very mindful that some family don't have so many devices, and in a way that we some of our event, if we are targeting the families, and we will schedule our town halls like after 3 p.m. So that's when the time that their Wi-Fi capacity, right? It's more available for adult to join for our events, and also the device might be available. So we constantly listen to the challenges and try to fit um, to overcome, like what's that issue. It's the Wi-Fi capacity, it's the device, it's their time, and then we try to accommodate as much as possible. I think listening and partners and troubleshoots, it's a big part during that period of time. So in a way, it's not like a traditional work. We could just like conduct the workshops and just give out informations, or just kind of do the pre-complaint intervention or something, right? So there are other work have to do before we can do our work.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I see. You had mentioned earlier that that your organization had to step up and deliver more meals, if I recall correctly.
We don't our agencies main focus is like enforcing New York City human rights law and provide education, know your rights, know your obligations. But during the time, because city have different type of needs, we do time to time being called to support. Like it could be census, it could be vaccine, right? It could be food pantry. The reason I mentioned food pantry earlier, it's before pandemic, we could do a lot of in person. Like we go to community centers, senior centers, faith institution location to conduct workshops, right? And sometimes we also do we call day of actions, meaning that we bring information like nearby, like subway, like high traffic area, right, to provide information. But during pandemic, we understand people don't want to get flyers, right? Because they might concern about getting virus. The alternative is we partner with like food pantry partners, which people will get their groceries from like a bag of grocery or a box of groceries, and we put our information in that food pantry bag or food pantry box to let people know about their rights.
I see. So you've described a whole host of services that you've provided to citizens of New York.
Mhm.
Um, could you tell me how you have gained the skills you needed to come up with uh, addressing these issues? What in your professional background has prepared you for your current job?
Mhm. Used to work for a non-for-profit for 23 years, and what I did was, well, because it's like 23 years, right? So I also do, I also play different roles. So mainly, I was focused a lot on the outreach and education. I work for a non-for-profit that actually provide many different essential services, including like immigration service, home ownership, small business service, entitlement benefit service. And because of that background, I actually kind of know a little bit of everything and knows the partner of providing all the service. So that really helped a lot when we need to outreach to this grass-rooted community who could reach to when we say East Asian community, they are like many countries and many different languages and dialogue was speaking. So I kind of know them before. So that's that's good to start with. And I also have some background of, for example, fair housing. The agency I used to work for also deal with all type of housing issues, and including fair housing. So I already have some like a basic knowledge of fair housing as well. So to start with that, with some training internally, I think that those really help to get a foundation of what I need to know. And I think in a way I'm also sensitive enough because I used to partner a lot with ethnic medias. As some of you probably know that a lot of immigrants are not language proficient enough to read all their information or news from like English media. So a lot of them rely on ethnic media to provide the information. So because of what I did before, and I kind of know that, what will be important, like what kind of question people will be asking and what's the concern they have. So for example, the first COVID confirmed case in New York was February 28th, right? And New York went into post like a mid of March. But our team actually start to do outreach about know your rights in January,
Mm.
because when I read the Chinese newspaper, I already know that this is coming. It's not going to be just a health issue. It will become a kind of bias issue as well, right? So it first start with Chinese Asian business, like people are afraid of coming to Chinatown or buying stuff or getting service from Asian or, Chinese and Asian people, right? So first start with that, and then the kind of individual attack or bias incident happened. So, back then, like in January, we are starting doing workshops in Flushings and Chinatown and Brooklyn. So that was even before pandemic that we could still do it in person. And then after that, we start to do in language town hall. We understand the language essence is very, very essential for the people. And each time when we do the in language, the ethnic media also come to cover. So we understand, it's no matter how you choose the best time to the community, it's not going to be everybody, right? So we invite the ethnic media to cover our town hall. So when they write like 800 words about what we've been covered, right? What's the definition of hate crime, how to report, and what to be expect after you report, what's the victim service will be provided, things like that. And so we did the town hall in different language. First one in English, it was in April. So we also add very quick, mid of March, New York City, New York State went into the post status. In April, our agency start to have the COVID-19 rapid response team, right? And then we start the town hall in English, Chinese, Korean, Tagalog, and Japanese. So I think with the sense, and oftentimes, luckily, we all want our community to be better. So I got phone calls, day or night or weekends from community leaders as well. They will tell me like, Flora, we need to be aware of this. We need to, start to print that. And, we listen and we prepare ahead of time. For example, recently, we all understand, like we all see how big the bias instance industry, right? So with the pandemic, it's more under control that children are going back to more in-person learning, right? Definitely, I think start from September. But in the meantime, I think they are more like summer school are opening, that sort of thing. So we also focus on our youth a lot. For example, our de-escalation bystander intervention training. We also partner with CAENY and create the youth-focused curriculums that we train more and more youth to be prepared and to be act on this type of discrimination or bias instance.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I see. So, what is the next issue or problem you hope to address in your job?
I think right now, with the pandemic is more under control and cities more open, there will be more people in the street that we are concerned the situation is not improving. So we are trying to do a different way, like besides a virtual training, we try to do more like in person and partner with different entities to provide, for example, before, let's say, we couldn't do the escalation and self-defense. But right now, with like we could do the more in person, combined with like self-defense, maybe in the park, right? Other things, other activity we are able to do with the pandemic under control. So we want to kind of tap into that, and also youth will be our focus as well. And seniors, we've been doing couple events virtually with seniors, and we understand, especially senior population, it's better in person. So once senior center are able to be reopened, so we will also doing more outreach and education with these areas as well. So I will say that hate has no place anywhere, and any type of hate, right? So we are all in this together. The community solidarity is important. We got a lot of support from different communities, and I think also that with John Jay, they are students. Sometimes the first and second generation might think differently, and so to encourage the parents or the family that if they face discrimination, they should definitely report. Sometimes people feel that what's the point of reporting, right? They might not catch the guy, or what's the point report to New York City Commission on Human Rights. But um, a lot of times when people tell us what happened to them, their biggest wish is they don't want this happen to other people. So once we know, we will bring awareness to that specific area, right? The day of action is an example that we bring the community boards, the community partners together to give information and let people know about their rights. And sometimes the potential perpetrators see that people are paying attention, so it's most likely they don't want to do that in that specific area. So it is important to let us know, and it's important to work together to end this. Um, so I really appreciate the opportunities, and if there's anything that we could share more specifically, for example, the bystander intervention training to John Jay students, we are open-minded to do so as well. And there are other different type of training which are very helpful because our jurisdiction, besides discriminatory harassment, and also the jurisdictions in like employments, right? Before, like for the interviews and while they are in jobs, the law covers no matter your immigration status. It doesn't matter that if you are, it's not, a lot of time people think they have to be full-time paid staff to qualify the protection under New York City human rights law. That's incorrect. It could be a part-time, could be an intern. We also have sexual harassment, virtual like a workshop that you could learn and earn certificates. So there are many resources on our website. So please do check it out.